Hello kids. Let's start our next chapter, conventional sources of energy. Now when I say conventional sources, they are those sources of energy which man has been using since long period of time. We have used them abundantly and they are coal, petroleum, natural gas and tidal power. Let us start first with coal. Coal is solid, organic, combustible mineral which is mainly composed of carbon. Higher the carbon, better the coal. It also contains some amount of nitrogen, phosphorus, sulfur, oxygen, hydrogen. But the main component of coal is carbon. How is coal formed? Coal is formed because of accumulation of plant matter. Now when a lot of vegetative matter, a lot of plant matter gets accumulated in swampy area or marshy area or deltaic area or coastal lowland, when large quantity of vegetative or plant matter gets accumulated in swampy, marshy, deltaic or coastal lowland, this vegetative matter will be subjected to lot of geological process because it will go through a lot of physical changes, lot of chemical changes. The physical and chemical changes are brought because of heat which is generated under the surface of the earth as this matter gets buried. Excuse me. Because of pressure, because of the weight, the vegetative matter which is getting accumulated, it is experiencing a lot of pressure, and that pressure is because of the weight of the overlying sediment, and finally this will get converted into coal. Coal can be classified into 4 varieties depending upon the carbon content. The best variety of coal is anthracite. It has got more than 90% carbon. It doesn't have impurities. It doesn't have moisture. It has got more than 90% carbon. It is jet black in color. It is shiny, lustrous. It is completely compressed. It burns for a long period of time. It burns without leaving any ash behind. It burns without emitting any smoke. Its heating or calorific value is very high. In fact, globally, we prefer anthracite to be used for domestic purpose. But anthracite reserves, not only in India, but all over the world, the reserves of anthracite are limited. 90% carbon, shiny, jet black, lustrous, completely compressed, burns for a longer time, leaves no ash behind, burns without smoke, high calorific value, and preferred for domestic purpose. The second variety of coal is bituminous. The best was anthracite. The second variety of coal is bituminous. The carbon content in bituminous is somewhere between 50 to 80%. There are 3 varieties of bituminous: steam coal, household coal, coking coal. Out of these 3 varieties of bituminous, steam coal is the best bituminous. It will have carbon content of 80%. The best variety of bituminous is steam coal with a carbon content of 80%. Household coal is also good, somewhere between 50 to 80% of carbon. Coking coal is of great use in iron and steel industry. Let me tell you one thing, coking coal is also of a very high grade. Coking coal is also of very high grade coal. It is used in iron and steel industry. Basically, there are coke furnaces in which we heat coking coal. When we heat coking coal, the coking coal fuses into coke. And once it fuses into coke can be used as an ingredient for smelting of iron and steel. For smelting of iron and steel. So these are the three varieties of bituminous coal. Bituminous also will have less moisture, hardly any moisture, hardly any impurities. The carbon content in bituminous is high, but of course not as high as anthracite. That is why anthracite is the best coal. Then third is lignite. In fact, please make a note of it. Lignite is called as a brown coal. Only 40% carbon. Only 40% carbon. It has lot of moisture. It has great amount of impurities. The combustible matter in lignite is less. So that is lignite. Lignite is inferior variety. Then we have peat. Peat is actually first stage of transformation of wood into coal. After that stage, it will go through lot of decomposition, lot of carbonization, and then it will turn into coal. So peat is the least, it's a most like inferior variety of coal. Peat in fact contains hardly any combustible matter. It has great deal of moisture and impurities. As I said, it has to still go through a lot of decomposition, lot of carbonization to get converted into coal. So these are the four varieties of coal on the basis of carbon content. Out of this four variety, let me tell you one thing. Anthracite in our country is found in Jammu and Kashmir, but the reserves are very limited. Anthracite is very ideal to be used for domestic purpose because its heating value, its calorific value is high. It is also used, anthracite is also used in metallurgical process, and it is also used in iron and steel industry. So it is ideal for domestic purpose, used for metallurgical process. It is also used in iron and steel industry. Bituminous is used in iron and steel industry. I already discussed with you all how it is used in iron and steel industry. In fact, please underline and make a note of it. Bituminous coal is also called as industrial coal. You can expect this question for MCQ. Which coal is described as industrial coal? It is bituminous because it is used for industry purpose. It is used in industry. So it is called as industrial coal. Then we have lignite, which is used for generation of electricity. Lignite is used for generation of electricity. Peat is also used for generation of electricity. It is also used to make a bedding material for cattle. It is also used as a filter and absorbent material. Okay, used as a filter and absorbent material for toxic substances. So basically, whenever something has to be used as a filter, we use peat. Peat is also used as a plant substrate. It is also used as a plant substrate. Plant substrate, bedding for cattle, used as a material for filter and absorbent material for toxic substances, and of course generation of electricity. So let me just give a quick recap. Anthracite, metallurgical process. Iron and steel industry, ideal for domestic purpose. In India, we have good amount of bituminous. Bituminous is used in industries, so called as industrial coal. Bituminous is also used in iron and steel industry. Lignite is used for generation of electricity. Peat is used as a plant substrate, bedding material for cattle, generation of electricity, and it is used as a filter or absorbent material for toxic gases. What I just discussed was the individual use of each coal. But now in general, what are the uses of coal in general? So we can say that coal is a source of direct heating. Coal is a source of, it's a source of direct heating. For domestic purpose, we use coal to heat. Also for potteries, for building materials, for burning of bricks, everywhere it's a source of direct heating. It is also used as a source of power generation. It is also used as a source of power generation. Power for running machines, for running trains, for running ships, for dynamos. In all this, it is used as a source of power. Coal is also used in iron and steel industry. It is also used as a raw material in thermal power plants. However, coal has certain disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of coal? In India, we have a lot of coal whose calorific value is low. Also, in our country, we do have coal reserves. India's rank is third. After China and USA, India's coal production rank is third. But the problem is what? In our country, coal reserves are in small amount and scattered. Okay, also the cost of production of coal and transportation of coal, both is very high. Coal reserves in India, of course, are limited. It's a fossil fuel. The reserves are limited because they are non-renewable. Large-scale pollution takes place at the place of coal mining. That is another problem we all are facing. In India, the biggest coal mine is Jharia, which is in Jharkhand. The oldest coal mine is Raniganj, which is in West Bengal. In India, we have two types of coal field. We have two types of coal field. The first type of coal field is Gondwana and the second type of coal field is tertiary. Now, how are they different? It's a good question. Gondwana coal field has coal which is around, say around 200 million years old. That means it contains superior quality of coal. That is anthracite and bituminous. But again I am saying, in our country, in Gondwana coal field, we have more of the bituminous. Anthracite we have very limited. Gondwana coal field will have coal which is around 200 million years old. The carbon content is very high. That means superior quality of coal. Gondwana coal field will have coal whose moisture is less. Impurities is less. On the other hand, we have the second type of coal field where we find inferior coal, that is lignite and peat, and those coal fields are called as tertiary coal field. They are called as tertiary coal field, where you will find the coal which is not very old. It will be around 50 or 55 million years old. Inferior quality of coal. So maybe lignite and peat is more. Carbon content will be less, moisture will be more, impurities will be more. So Gondwana and tertiary are the two types of coal fields. Okay, also remember very well, in India, the largest lignite field, coal field in South India. You need to remember this name very well. In South India, there is one coal field which is called as Neyveli coal field. Neyveli, Neyveli coal field, which is in Tamil Nadu. It is the largest lignite coal field in South India. So that was all about your coal. I hope kids have made important note of all the things which I said to pay special attention to. Alright. Now we proceed further to petroleum. Petroleum has been derived from two words, petra and oleum. Petra, oleum, rock, oil. Petra means rock, oleum means oil. It's a complex mixture of hydrocarbon compounds. It's a complex mixture of hydrocarbon compounds. Do you know not even a tiniest drop of petroleum goes waste or unused? That is why we call it as liquid gold. That is why we call it as liquid gold. In fact, the liquid petroleum is called as crude oil. Petroleum in gaseous form is called as natural gas. Semi-solid or solid form of petroleum is called as asphalt, tar, bitumen. We find petroleum again in sedimentary rock formation, especially sandstone, shale and limestone. We get directly petroleum? No, we get crude oil, which is full of impurities. So we get from oil wells crude oil, and then we have to send this oil to the refineries to refine it. And then in refinery they refine and they make various products out of it. So crude oil first has to be refined. After refining they process it. Okay. When they process, they can make light distillate, they can make middle distillate, they can make high distillate. They make light distillate like gasoline, LPG, naphtha. They can make middle distillate like diesel or kerosene. They can make heavy distillate also after refining and processing like lubricating oil, bitumen, petroleum coke. So oil refinery is the place where the crude oil is refined and processed. Now oil well से refinery में oil भेजा जाता है. Usually we send it through underground pipes or we send it through oil tankers. But nowadays maximum oil is sent through underground pipes. But usually we prefer to have oil wells and oil refinery located close to each other. The reason is the cost of transportation can be reduced, and secondly, oil is highly inflammable in nature. We want to reduce the risk of transportation. So we prefer to have oil well and refinery located close to each other. In fact, you know what? Maximum time you will find lot of oil refineries close to ports. Do you know why? Because we import a lot of oil, and when we import we get it through ships which comes on port. Ship tankers will come on the port. So they prefer to have oil refinery located near to the port so they can reduce the cost of transportation and can reduce risk of transportation, being inflammable in nature. Okay, now let's talk more about oil refinery since we are talking about it. In India, Reliance Petroleum Refinery, Reliance Petroleum Limited Refinery, which is in Jamnagar, okay, in Gujarat, is the first refinery in private sector. In fact, it's the biggest oil refinery in private sector. Okay, now, but we do have a lot of oil refineries in private. Private may we are very limited, but most of them are either in joint venture with government or only by government owned. In private, we have very limited oil refineries. But yes, Jamnagar में जो refinery Reliance Petroleum Limited, you need to know that name very well. Now, what are the advantages of petroleum? The calorific value of petroleum is very high. Okay. In fact, petroleum is a source of, it's used as a fuel. Can I say it forms backbone of transport industry, any machine, any vehicle, whether it is on land or air or water. Everywhere, all vehicles need petroleum, right? Jet fuel, kerosene, LPG, diesel, gasoline, ethane, all this thing is used as a fuel. In fact, petroleum after refining is used as a raw material for producing various petrochemical products. I'll give you a few examples of petrochemical products like synthetic rubber, PVC, paraffin wax, petroleum jelly, carbon black, printing ink, etc. Petroleum is also used for power generation. But of course, in India, the use of petroleum to be used for power generation is very, very limited. It's confined only to be used in few thermal stations, which are quite close to oil wells. Okay. But of course, it has a lot of disadvantages. It's a natural fossil fuel. The way we are using it, the speed at which we are using it, very soon we will be left with hardly any petroleum for the future generation, fast depleting. Also, when you use petroleum, when the burning of fossil fuel gives out what? Carbon emissions, which are greenhouse gases, causing global warming. In our country, the demand of petroleum is very high, the supply is less. That makes petroleum quite expensive. Highly inflammable in nature, can cause fire. In fact, when you are extracting petroleum from sea, or you are transporting, okay, if you are transporting, oil spill is very common, very, very common, because of which marine pollution is taking place, a lot of aquatic animals can die. Now, in our country, where do we find oil wells? We find oil wells in the eastern region, in the western region, and in the middle of Arabian Sea. In the eastern region, there is a very famous oil well, which is the oldest oil field and oil refinery of India. You will have it for map marking also. The name of that oil field and oil refinery is Digboi, Digboi. It is the oldest oil field and oil refinery of India. It is located in Tinsukia district of Assam. Tinsukia district of Assam. You will also see a lot of oil well between Gujarat, Maharashtra area. In fact, if you go towards Arabian Sea from Mumbai, you will come across like approximately 176 kilometers. If you go towards Arabian Sea, you will come across the most productive oil field of India, which is called as Mumbai High. It is called as Mumbai High because of the height of the syncline of the rock structure on which the oil has been stuck. In fact, it is higher. Of course, it is higher than the normal height, so we call it as Mumbai High, the most productive oil field of India. In fact, to extract oil, they have installed self-propelled drilling platform, self-propelled jack-up type of drilling platform, self-propelled jack-up type of drilling platform has been installed, and that drilling platform is called as Sagar Samrat. Sagar Samrat. So that is your oil field and oil refinery. Okay kids, now there is a very big table given in the textbook with respect to oil refineries of India. The most commonly asked question is, do we have to learn all of them? So of course the years are not important, but yes, in boards we have come across the questions like, name the oil refinery in Bihar. So they can ask you, name the following type of questions on them. For example, the oldest oil refinery of India, Digboi. The first public sector oil refinery of India, Guwahati. The coastal oil refinery of India, Haldia. The oil refinery, which is world's largest refinery, Jamnagar refinery. Eco-friendly oil refinery, Panipat. Mini oil refinery of ONGC, Tatipaka. Joint venture oil refinery, they have given example of Bina Guru Gobind. Second largest oil refinery after Jamnagar, Vadinar. So basically They can ask you all these points in the format of name the following. So you have to learn this table, but in the format of name the following. Okay. Now guys, we're going to talk about the next conventional sources, which is natural gas. Natural gas is associated with mineral oil. So where you get mineral oil, वहाँ पे तुमको natural gas भी मिलेगा. Natural gas is mainly composed of 95% क्या होता है? Methane, small amount of propane and ethane. It is also fossil fuel. Wherever there are oil deposits, उसके साथ accompanied क्या होगा? Natural gas. Natural gas we use in the form of CNG and LPG. CNG, compressed natural gas. It is obtained from natural gas. It is an alternative to petrol and diesel for transportation. What about LPG? Liquefied petroleum gas. It is a byproduct which you obtain after refining crude oil. तुम जब crude oil को refine करोगे as a byproduct, क्या produce होता है? LPG. LPG के main component कौन है? What is the main component of LPG? Butane. Others are ethane and propane. LPG is odorless. We all know very well. We all have LPG in our houses. Domestic purpose cooking के लिए हम लोग क्या use करते हैं LPG? It is odorless. तुम बोलोगे मिस घर पे कभी भी लीकेज होता है तो स्मेल तो आ जाता है. Yes, वो स्मेल LPG का नहीं है. LPG is a odorless gas, but its leakage can be highly dangerous. So to detect its leakage, they add a foul smelling gas in it, which is called as ethyl mercaptan. So what smell you get is ethyl mercaptan, which is added to detect its leakage. Nowadays, we don't get cylinders. Most of our houses have directly pipeline supplied to our houses. So in short, LPG has been replaced with PNG, piped natural gas. Now, what are the advantages? Before that, 3/4 of the natural gas comes from Mumbai High. That makes Maharashtra as a leading producer of natural gas. What are the advantages of natural gas? See, compared to coal and petroleum, which are also fossil fuel, natural gas is also a fossil fuel, but compared to petroleum and coal, it is quite eco-friendly. It causes less damage to the environment. It is mainly made up of methane, so carbon emissions will be less. It is easier to preserve this. In fact, you've seen the rickshaws and all, we have small cylinders in which it is stored. It can be transported to the houses directly through pipelines. Okay, also, it can be used for variety of appliances. Cleaner, cheaper than diesel or than gasoline. Lighter than air. So, even if there is a leakage, it will dissipate in air. Also, it is used for producing hydrogen and ammonia for fertilizer for some plants and plastics. But of course, natural gas also has its own disadvantages. What are the disadvantages of natural gas? The leakage of natural gas is difficult to detect and can be very dangerous because it can cause fire. When inhaled, very toxic, because methane is more toxic than carbon dioxide. Secondly, except for, if you want to use it as a fuel, except for methane, all other constituents of natural gas, you have to extract them. The process of extracting them, that will result into giving out so many byproducts. Okay, hydrocarbon, sulfur, water, helium, nitrogen, these सब byproducts will be released. Like other fossil fuel like coal and petroleum, this is also fossil fuel. It is also non-renewable. At one point, it will also get exhausted. Okay, now the infrastructure which you have to make for production and distribution of natural gas is fairly expensive. Separate plumbing system, separate specialized tank you have to make for it. That makes the process of extraction quite expensive. And if you use natural gas as a fuel, the vehicles will give less mileage as compared to the vehicles which run on gasoline. And now the last we're going to talk about is tidal power. Tidal power means when water is made to fall from a great height, we make dams in the middle of the river, we make water fall from a great height, water falls on turbines, turbines will move and will produce electricity. How much electricity will produce depend on the volume of the water and the height from where the water is falling. Depends on volume and height. Where you have hydroelectric projects, remember one thing, we call them as multi-purpose river valley project. Why do we call them as multi-purpose river valley project? Because we first of all make dams in the middle of the river. Not only to produce electricity, the dams will help us to control flooding of the river. Second, it will help us to produce hydroelectricity. Third, it will provide water for irrigation. Fourth, it will also store some water in the reservoir. That is why hydroelectric projects are called as multi-purpose river valley project. What is the advantage of tidal power? Clean, non-polluting, in fact does not contaminate air, does not contaminate water, does not give out any poisonous gases, no greenhouse gases, no global warming. It can be used again and again, renewable sources of energy. In fact, when you are producing hydroelectricity, you are making dam, and dam can be used for multiple purpose which we just discussed, and cheaper as compared to electricity. But disadvantage, where you produce hydroelectricity, you have to make dams, and dams are quite expensive. Secondly, dams are not eco-friendly, they are not environmental friendly. Dam will alter the natural water table. It can cause geological damage like trigger earthquake. Building of dams to produce electricity displaces so many people from the area. Physically, mentally, people get disturbed because they have to leave that area when the dam is being constructed in that area. In this chapter, we are going to talk about two multi-purpose river valley projects, Bhakra Nangal and Hirakud project. Bhakra Nangal Dam. It's a joint venture of 3 states, Punjab, Haryana and Rajasthan. In this project, there are 2 dams, Bhakra Dam and Nangal Dam, built on river Satluj. Built on river Satluj. Bhakra Dam is built on river Satluj between the border of Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. What about Nangal Dam? That is also built across river Satluj but only in Punjab. So Bhakra is between Punjab and Himachal Pradesh, Nangal is only in Punjab. This project has a very big reservoir whose name is Gobind Sagar Reservoir. This project also provide today electricity to Punjab, Haryana, Delhi, Himachal Pradesh, Chandigarh, Rajasthan. In fact, because of this project, the farms of Punjab and Haryana has been getting lot of water for irrigation because we have Bhakra Canal and Nangal Canal. And they are providing water to the farms of Punjab and Haryana for agriculture purpose, for irrigation purpose. So agriculturally, this project has benefited Punjab and Haryana by providing water for irrigation. Industrially also, this project has provided a lot of benefit by providing electricity. And plus it has stopped flooding of river Satluj. Then second we have is Hirakud project. Built on river Mahanadi in Sambalpur district of Odisha. This project today is providing hydroelectricity okay, to so many districts of Odisha. This has helped to control flooding of Mahanadi Delta. It is providing water to the farms of Mahanadi, to the farms in the Mahanadi Delta, and for so many Kharif and Rabi crops in so many districts of Odisha today are getting water, are getting irrigation facility because of Hirakud project. So always remember one thing, when you learn any of this project, what are things you need to know? A, on which river, states were partner of it, or the location. Third, which all are the part of it, like Bhakra Canal, Nangal Canal, Bhakra Dam, Nangal Dam, Gobind Sagar Reservoir. Agricultural benefit of both the project and industrial benefit of both the project. That is all you need to know about this, both the project importantly. So that was your tidal power. Thank you so much. Please revise this chapter properly. Thank you.